The art of storytelling is dying. My name's Kevin Laporte, and here's mine. The Little House Through the Trees of Kyrgyzstan. So the story I actually want to share today is a story of a recent experience that I had in the last year. So about a year ago, me and a couple friends, we were on a road trip. Now this was unlike any other road trip. We actually decided it would be a great idea to drive from London, England to Ulaanbaatar, which is the capital of Mongolia. So it's quite the distance, and you'd be sure that within that distance we encountered several people, we encountered several experiences, and a multitude of crazy twists and turns. And the one that I want to focus on today is a small town in Kyrgyzstan. We found ourselves in a convoy of 5 vehicles, about 18 of us in total, exhausted. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're driving through the night. And to kind of set the tone for this story, the roads we're driving on, they're not the best. They're littered with potholes. Its visibility is low. And for the most part, we have no idea where we're going. That was kind of a theme for the entire trip. Anyway, we were actually even stopped by an off-duty police officer of the region. He hailed all of our vehicles down and told us that our small vehicles, low to the ground, were not suited to be driving on the roads that we were on. And he advised us, he pleaded with us to just stop in the next town and just make sure we got some rest and kind of got back on the roads in the daylight. And so we didn't heed his warning because we were on kind of a tight schedule, and again, for all we knew, we were in the middle of nowhere and we had no idea where we were going. So sure enough, the next town we arrive in, we're exhausted. So it's now about 2 o'clock in the morning at this point, and we're looking for somewhere to stay. But again, there's 18 of us, 18 or so, 50 and 18 of us, and 5 vehicles all pulling up into this tiny town. No street lights, everything is dark, maybe 1 or 2 lights on a couple corners in the center of the town. And we all pull off to the side, and we pull up to what we assume is to be a hostel. We found some ads online for it. It's full. Turns out there's a wedding happening in this town, and the entire town is at this wedding. They are all a part of it, and all of the accommodations are filled. So we're thinking we're pretty SOL at this point, and we're just gonna have to be camping out in the cars. So one of the people in the group, who I would say probably about half of the group, are asleep in the cars, and each driver, so about 5 of us and probably 1 or 2 other individuals, are awake at this point, doing the graveyard night shift. So we finally end up going to another hostel, again, completely closed. I think this was a hotel at this point. And so just before we had kind of pulled the plug and decide to kind of pull to the side of the road in a field, we're approached by this very large SUV, probably like like more than an 8-seater Escalade SUV, this just big truck. And the passenger window rolls down, and a conversation ensues between our lead car and this big SUV, and the rest of us are kind of wondering what's going on. Eventually a man comes out, and he starts talking with the guys that are in the front car. And he kind of just signals to everyone else, just kind of waves his arm and starts pointing to him, saying, "Follow me." And then the guys in the lead car just look back, and sure enough, they're giving the thumbs up. So we're thinking, all right, where are we going? So we follow this Escalade for, I'd say probably about 5 minutes, again through some rural roads, and we arrive at this very large building that was supposedly another hotel that had a vacancy. No lights are on, no cars are parked in the lot. It looks abandoned. For the most part, this town has already seemed to be a ghost town. The guy comes out, he's kind of looking at these windows on the lawn. He's on his cell phone, off with the cell phone, and then realizes, he kind of hangs up and kind of tells everyone to round up. This place is closed. They're not having anyone else. So we think, oh geez, okay, the plan failed, now what? But again, he's still got a big smile on his face. He says, all right, everyone, follow me. I know what we're doing. So again, we're a little hesitant. We're following this complete stranger. We have no idea where we're going. We just have this false sense of security being in this large group, and we're really just hoping for the best at this point. It's late. I think by this point, it's stretching on like 3:30 in the morning. We all just want to get some rest. And all of a sudden, upon passing through these winding, overgrown roads, now there's kind of trees all around us. It's almost as though we're driving through a narrow forest. It almost seems as though all the branches are kind of bouncing off of the front of this Escalade. It almost seems as though he's pushing through the woods and creating a path. That's how kind of tight these trees were. We were wondering, oh my god, where is this guy taking us? We arrived to this little gate, and then all of a sudden, the big SUV pulls to the side. Passenger comes out, a different man this time, and starts signaling to the front cars to start pulling in one by one to this kind of little laneway and squeeze us in. And so as we're trying to find a spot, we're thinking, where the heck are we? And we see multiple individuals, what seems to be one large family. We see an elderly couple, 3 or 4 little kids, all in like beautiful dresses and gowns. Everyone just completely dressed up, wearing their best clothes, coming out of this vehicle, starting to go through a gate into what we realize is now a home. And we all were shocked, because it's kind of slowly dawned on us that we were staying at this family's home for the night. We weren't really sure what was going on. We didn't sure where we were going to be staying, and we kind of wanted to figure out what was happening. So once all of our cars were parked, sure enough, the family welcomed us into their home. There was 18 of us welcomed in. They rolled out some floor mats, bed mats, blankets, pillows, anything that they had in the house on the ground. Now, this is already a full family gathered for the wedding, and they already had plans to accommodate their relatives. They are now taking on another 18 people. Strangers, lost, really with nowhere else to go that night. So we were astonished, grateful, happy. And so upon, just hugs and handshakes and introducing all of us, at this point we woke everyone up saying, hey, we've got a place to stay. You won't believe where we're staying. We're staying at this awesome house. It kind of got a little bit crazier. This family, they were on party mode. They weren't ready to go to sleep. They just celebrated kind of a beautiful time. It was an uncle's daughter who was being married, so one of the cousins of this whole family. And they decided, hey, our guests are hungry. We've got a bunch of food from this wedding. Let's not put them to bed hungry. So it was about 5 o'clock in the morning once we finally ended up getting to sleep, having a kind of a crazy midnight snack with all these people. They kind of saw us to where we could sleep for the night. We woke up the next morning, again, rested, fed, and I believe we actually watched the McGregor-Floyd Mayweather fight the next day on TV, because I think that's what was going on that day. So before we got back on the road, we ended up watching that and had a big breakfast with them. So before these unsuspecting hosts saw us off, they made sure we had the correct directions to get back on the highway, and they just saw us off with a handshake, a hug, and believe it or not, a couple of vodkas from the local convenience store. They were that kind. So it's a story that I'll never forget. It's a story of generosity, it's a story of kindness, and it's a story of opening yourself up to kind of new experiences and strangers, and just finding kind of where love happens. So I'm happy to share that story with you.